It seems like the trend in our society has been to specialize and to narrow the focus of what a person knows about. Instead of being a jack of all trades that knows all sorts of things about all sorts of different aspects of life, now people focus on only one particular area and they become very specialized, very knowledgeable about one thing. But it has its limitations. Let me give you an example. For the last few months, I've been working with the marketplace, with the healthcare.gov, and with an insurance company for a client who needs to get their 1095A to do their tax return. Well, at the very beginning, when he signed up with the marketplace to get health insurance, there was some sort of a processing error. This was for 2015. So I've been working with him through all this time. And we called up, first it was the marketplace, and they pointed the finger at the insurance company, and the insurance company pointed the finger at the marketplace. But supposedly it was getting resolved. Well, come the end of the year and tax time, there was no 1095A, so we had to go ask questions. Well, when you go to the marketplace, there are these layers that you have to work through. So even though the people are very friendly and very helpful, they have limitations. And they also have a set of pat answers to give people. So the first one was, oh, well, it's way past the enrollment period. We can't do anything for you. Well, after you work through several of these, then you finally realize that maybe you need to go to the next level, the next tier in the hierarchy. Well, so they said, oh, we'll escalate this, which is a fancy word for saying we're going to assign a caseworker to this situation and have them look into it. Well, they came back and said, he doesn't qualify because there was this bugaboo that happened at the insurance company where they put him in the wrong plan. They put him in a direct plan instead of a marketplace plan. So, but we never got the letter, we never got the notification because they sent it to the wrong address. So time goes by and it's getting closer to getting the tax return done or getting down to the deadline. So we call up the marketplace again. And in the meantime, I'd found out about doing appeals. You can appeal decisions at the marketplace. So I thought, well, this is a big broadband thing. We can get this thing resolved. Well, it finds out that the appeals only work for appealing eligibility denials. Well, that didn't help. So we called back the marketplace again and had to work through the first guy. He was so helpful. He made it sound like he could just get everything all taken care of. The 1095 would be right there on the website. We could download it and everything was great. But then he realized it was a little more complex than what he thought. So by this time I knew to ask for a Tier 2 specialist. So we asked for a Tier 2 specialist and we had to go through the whole thing again. So he found out, looked in the records, and said that the first escalation had been denied. But we weren't taking no for an answer, so we worked and worked and worked. So he says, well, I'll call the insurance company. Well, the insurance company, their first line of defense, their first customer representative, held a very firm line. She says, there's no way he can qualify for this because in our records he has a direct plan. So by this time, I was getting very frustrated. So I realized that the person at the marketplace couldn't do anything because he needed the information from the insurance company. So we had to go deal with the insurance company. So the lady at the insurance company was very stoic in saying that there was no way that this could be changed. And so I said, let's speak to the supervisor. It took a long time for the supervisor to get on the line. But eventually, after going down several wrong paths, we finally found out that actually there was 2 accounts set up for this particular client. One was a marketplace account and one was a direct account. So we were able to figure out how to get this whole thing solved from the insurance company's point of view. And he sent me an email that said that the client qualified for marketplace insurance. So great, that sounded great. So the next day I called up the marketplace and figured this was going to be a piece of cake. We could get this all fixed. Well, went through the first layer, and that representative soon realized that, I needed to go up to the next level. So I got this lady at the next level, tier 2 specialist, and she was one of those more black and white, cut and dried sort of people. And she took umbrage that I was challenging the first escalation. And she didn't know that I could not just roll over and accept what they had come up with. And I was not going to roll over and accept what they had come up with. I told her we had new information and this needed to be taken care of. And could she call the insurance company, and here's all the numbers, and here's all the records, and here's the call record, and here's everything, so that we can get this straightened out. And she says, oh no, I can't do that. And she says, the only thing I can do is escalate it to a caseworker who will then talk to the insurance company and we'll see if our records agree or not. And that's going to take 60 days. And I was getting pretty frustrated by this time. So finally I said, well, what can you do? And she says, the only thing I can do is listen to people's problems and then escalate it to a caseworker. I can't resolve things. I can't get a 1099 issued. Oh, and by the way, when we hear back, and if the answer is favorable, you will that your client does qualify. Then there's a whole nother escalation process that has to go to another department that issues the 1095A, and that's going to take time too. So she wasn't very helpful, but what are you going to do? So I told her to go ahead, so this is still not resolved. But when I got done off the phone, I just was absolutely fascinated, because here are all these layers of people who have just this much authority, and they can't resolve a problem. They have to pass it up the ladder, and they have to pass it over here. And what happened to the being able to carry something from one end to the other and get it completed? Why is there so much delegation? Well, I realized that probably some of this has to do with keeping the scope of practice and keeping liability and keeping authority narrow, especially in a big organization like the government or corporations. But what happened to the person who has to wear all the hats? I deal with a lot of small businesses, and they have to wear all the hats. They have to be responsible for, even if they do have employees, they still have to be responsible for the customer service, and they have to be responsible for, if there's errors made, they have to go correct them. I don't know. I have real questions about whether this trend of super specialization and these very limited, narrow scopes of practice, which I'm sure has been brought on because of all the liability and lawsuits and all this other stuff that goes on. But is it really benefiting us? That is the question. And I'd love to hear other people's comments on this situation. Feel free to post below. Until next time.